You've probably thought of what you'd do in a zombie apocalypse. Hell, it's pretty much the doomsday scenario out there. But do you think you'd actually be able to survive in a situation where the dead come back to life? Well, to put that to the test, you've got a game called Project Zomboid. Well, an indie game that's been in early access for well over 10 years, inching close to 11 now. When you look at the game, it doesn't really offer something that special. I mean, there are way too many zombie games out there. Over the last 20 years, it has been a craze that only recently seems to have numbed down a bit. But the simplicity of the game is just a facade, because behind this The Sims meets Zombies game lies way more. Hello and welcome, fellow virgins. It is iSuperVirgin here, and today I'd like to talk about why you should be playing Project Zomboid. Now, the whole idea of this game is, of course, to simulate a zombie overrun world that you as a normal human being need to stay alive in. You need to take care of yourself, and that doesn't just mean drinking and eating. No, you also have to clean yourself, make sure you're not too tired, don't get too panicked, and of course, most notably, don't get bored. The whole idea of this game is that you're basically in a zombie apocalypse and you're a nobody, right? You do not know how to survive in this situation because one bite and it's over for you. This is of course emphasized when you start up the game because each and every single time you do, there's a certain sentence that comes up on your screen. People who have played the game know the sentence, and the sentence goes like this: "This is how you died." It's basically just when you start the game up, it's already telling you you're gonna end up just unalived, right? You're not gonna survive in this situation. So the game already sets that tone of, a bit of dread, I would say. Despite that though, the game isn't just gonna constantly hurt you and make you feel bad, right? It's not just constant CBT or something. Project Zomboid does have one of the steepest learning curves that I have probably ever seen in a video game, and I don't think I even know anything about the game. I think I barely scratched the surface on what I know. Making a wrong move in this game, which will just end up into your unaliving or just crippling you, like hurting your legs or your arms or whatnot, is very, very likely. And because of this, you need to learn how the game works. Learning is the whole thing. You need more knowledge. And I'm not just talking about in real life, I'm talking about in-game too. Because in-game, you actually do have books that give you extra XP bonuses or extra XP for learning certain skills like cooking or carpentry. Now, books are not like the other type of games where you just open up a book and it takes a few seconds or a few minutes to read in-game time. No, this in-game time, you need to spend sometimes days learning a book, getting to know everything that's in a certain book. So all I can really say, have fun reading. Now, the fun, of course, of this game is how it perfectly stays on the line of having to be realistic, but not too overly realistic. For instance, a few cases where the game is a bit realistic is when you're running through a forest, well, you're gonna run past branches that stick out. And so you're gonna scratch yourself, you're gonna cut your clothes, you're gonna scratch yourself, you might even end up bleeding. It's a bit annoying, but it's not something that's going to probably end your run, but it's something that you learn from, and then later on, you won't be running in forests. Keeping the stove on in a house, because you actually do need to turn it off if you're done cooking. Well, if you keep it on, you're just gonna burn the house down, and well, you need to learn from that. That is something that if the game doesn't show you that, you'll never learn from that. I have to say, the openness to how you do what you need to do, which is basically just one objective, is just mwah. It's done so well. You have so much ability to just choose what you want to do. You choose where you want to make your base. You choose what you want to eat. You choose where you want to go. You choose everything, which seems just, a normal gameplay experience. But in this game, it's actually something special because the one objective you have in this game is survive. That's all there is. you can only survive. There is no objective, there is no story, there are no other AI NPCs that you can talk to. There are only zombies. You are the only human being in this world. No story, no goal, no way to get rescued. Just don't die and you're winning. You know, I have no clue whether or not in the future they're planning on changing this, because this is of course a pretty old game. The updates go pretty slow with this game, which is pretty much the one qualm I do have. I do really dislike that when a game that is as old as it is, it's still not that different. I remember playing the demo of this game back when I was 12. I'm 23 now. So we're still not out of early access and nowhere inside of getting out of early access. It looks and plays different, right? There's a lot of different changes that have happened throughout those years, but I wouldn't say it's that significant for 11 years of development. Now, this is a long, slow process. Making games always will be, and I doubt that very little time is wasted by these developers, as they do put their time and effort into all of this. They do put their love into this game. But coming back to a game years later, we're talking 11 years later, and noticing barely any changes, if any, is very, very weird. I'm not trying to hate, I just find it very weird. Another example, of course, is that I tried to play this 2 or 3 years ago with a friend of mine, and when we were playing, they were talking about how they were going to add these AI, these other human NPCs that would walk around the world that you could team up with, or you could unalive, you know, stuff like that, which add a lot to the game. And now we're years further and that still hasn't been added. It's not even seen in the next update, which is supposed to come out somewhere this year. So we're looking at an update that will probably add a lot of different things, but the one thing that's been requested the most by the community, and the one thing they've been promising for years, is still not here. That is not a good thing. Again, not trying to hate, but it's still weird. Like, what are they doing? Despite all of the complaining I'm doing, early access games tend to have a lot of bugs and a lot of different glitches and whatnot. This one, however, I have yet to experience like any bugs whatsoever, except for, of course, the ones that are caused by mods. Which brings me to my next point, because my god, there is a community for this game, especially when it comes to modding. I think one of the most famous clips I've ever seen was a guy in a Fallout suit climbing a fence, and then his dog coming after him, like behind him, and it was like doing the same animation as the human, so it was like, is this a skinwalker? I remember that clip happening, and that was in Project Zomboid, a modded version of Project Zomboid. But like, when you think about it, Fallout added to a small indie game like Project Zomboid is really, really special, and I absolutely love it. And of course, mods are just amazing for that, right? You can cater the experience just as you want, because if all of this, right, the Project Zomboid, it is a harsh experience. It is a steep learning curve, but then you have mods where they say, you know, here's a bunch of guns, here's a bunch of items, here's, for instance, when you make your character, you have a bunch of traits, but you have to take positives and negatives, and you have to make sure that you eventually don't end up in the negatives so that you can actually create your character, because otherwise your character is too OP. Well, I just have a mod that just gives you 300 points. You can take every positive point that there is, every positive trait that there is, and then still play the game with all those positive traits. And it's noticeable how you are actually better in the game and how you are stronger and whatnot. But to me, that is just a more casual experience of Project Zomboid, and I'll do it one time, but then the next run I won't. So if it all sounds really harsh and you think this game isn't really for me, trust me, just slap some bad boy mods up on there. You're all of a sudden a soldier that can handle anything, that'll just destroy anything that dares raise up from the dead. Now, the entire game can also be played multiplayer. You can host a server either on your PC itself, or actually have a server running on the background. And these are very, very small servers. Like, they barely require any work, and you can get these fully modded. So you can take your friends and say like, hey, let's go. Let's try to survive this Project Zomboid apocalypse. Spoiler alert, you'll end up getting eaten. With mods added to this, you can just cater the experience exactly how you and your friends want it, and just have fun doing this. There's lots of clips out there, lots of different YouTubers that I've seen play these games and just have tons of fun, despite the one objective being to just survive. You and your friends should just survive. The conclusion, of course, to this video is that I absolutely love this game. You know, if the title or the rest of the video hadn't been clear enough. It's been in development for way too long, in my opinion, but this could be, the team could have this as a side project, something that they don't really work on. They work on it next to their real job. I'd say that's the most logical reasoning as to why they haven't really updated the game a giant amount, but we'll have to see in the future what they do bring and how fast they bring it. I do hope that I have at least convinced you to check out the game if you haven't already played it, because if you're interested in zombie games and if you're interested in just how can I survive a zombie apocalypse, well, you're gonna be interested in this game. It's definitely very cool, and I feel like there should be more talk about it. There should be, you know, a lot more talk about indie games in general, but this is one of those games that I really think, okay, yeah, this one definitely deserves the attention. But what do you think? Did you even know what this game was before I made the video, before you just watched this video? And if so, do you love it as much as I do? Or, you know, are you not a big fan of it? Let me know down in the comments below. I do always read them. I love reading them. As a smaller channel, it's just always nice to have a bit of a community. And if you've made it this far into the video, well, why not leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more gaming commentary just like this. Anyhow, I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.